The gender gap in American religion is shrinking. Historically, women in the United States have been more religious than men, and that is still true today. So there is no age group, in fact, in which men are more religious than women. But the gap is smaller today than it once was. One thing that hasn't changed about the gender gap in American religion is that we haven't seen a reversal. It is not the case that men are more religious than women. Women are more religious than men on many of the religious indicators we're able to look at. For example, women are more likely than men to say that they pray every day. Women are also more likely than men to identify with a religion, and they're more likely to say that religion is a very important part of their lives. That's still true today, but the gaps between men and women are smaller now than they once were. We see evidence of a declining gender gap on lots of religious indicators in the survey. For example, the gap between the share of women and the share of men who identify with a religion, like Christianity or Judaism or Islam, that gap is smaller today than it once was. So why is the gender gap in American religion getting smaller? Well, it's happening because women are growing less religious over time at a faster rate than men. Now, both women and men have grown less religious over the long term. And if anything, that's happened faster among women than among men. That's why the gap has gotten smaller. It is not the case that men are becoming more religious and thus catching up with women. The survey also shows a gender gap in spirituality. Women are a bit more likely than men to say they believe people have a soul or a spirit in addition to their physical body. Women are also more likely than men to say they believe there's something spiritual beyond the natural world, to say they think of themselves as spiritual, and to say that they regularly feel the presence of something from beyond this world. So the gender gap extends beyond religion into some of the survey's core measures about spirituality. The size of the gender gap in religiousness varies a lot across age groups. It's not just that the gender gap has gotten smaller among the public as a whole. It's also that we can see in the data that the gender gap is smaller among today's youngest adults than among today's oldest adults. For example, among today's oldest adults, the share of women who say they pray every day is 20 points higher than among men. By contrast, among today's youngest adults, there's virtually no difference. The gender gap in religion is not unique to the United States. We see similar gender gaps in many other places around the world, especially countries with large numbers of Christians. So what will happen moving forward? Well, if women continue to grow less religious at a faster rate than men, then we would expect to see a continued narrowing of the gender gap. On the other hand, if the trends level off or change directions among either women or men, then the future is less clear.